Hello, everybody. I'm just going to say a quick hello. And today's theme is hypertension. And we are working with our lovely guest, Adriana. And now you can tell me some of the symptoms we are going to work with today.
Okay. So in principle, I don't have symptoms. Only sometimes during the night, I wake up and I feel, kind of a pump in my ears, something like, maybe I was dreaming or something. So it goes very high, and I feel I have high tension at that moment. Okay. During the day, I don't feel it really, but I have it since quite a while. Maybe menopause, I don't know, but maybe a little bit before.
Okay, so you have high blood pressure, or how does?
Yes, and I do have a quite a stressy life, and that's why I guess it's the high pressure.
Okay, well, great. Well, we're going to get started then.
Okay.
So, or is there anything else unrelated to that you may also like to work with? Just
no, I think that's the main thing. That's what bothers me more. Maybe if I think about something else, I will tell you.
Okay, but it's like in your head, you're saying you feel it.
Yes, and I have a little bit of tinnitus. I hear it a little bit, when I'm in silence, I do hear, that I have something in the ears.
Okay, well, we'll see what we can do. So now that we have all your information here, I'm just going to click next on the bottom of the screen. Okay. And I'm just going to put in the identifying wellness markers, hypertension, as you described. Oh, oops. And high blood pressure, you said, right?
Yep.
Okay. And ringing in ears.
Painful joints, yes.
Okay. Okay.
That's it.
So now from here, I'm just going to click begin again on the bottom.
Yep.
And so this screen is where you leave your voice recording. So I will say 3, 2, 1, begin. And then if you can say your full name and then repeat the vowels A, E, I, O, U, maybe 3 or 4 times until you see the white line across the screen. Stop. Okay.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, begin.
Adriana Silitti, A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. A.
Perfect. That was perfect. And now I'm just going to get a quick screenshot.
Okay.
Of you. Whoops. And now I'm just going to hit next on the bottom. And we can just hit continue. And now we're on the screen. So this is where if I didn't have a picture already taken to upload, I could take one, or we just click on the image here and it prompts us. So I'm just going to hit existing photo. And I can click on your picture. And now just hit begin analysis. Okay, so now would you have an affirmation that you would like to use?
Yes, I feel healthy and happy.
Great. Perfect. Okay, so now what this does is the Genius will translate this affirmation into a frequency, and that frequency will be overlaid when all the other frequencies are run. So that's going to be constantly playing for you. So I just hit okay there.
Yep.
And then anybody who has the trial or who has the basic version of the Genius will see these three subject headings: biofield, body, and mind. If you have any packages where you've purchased libraries or created, that will show up as a banner in libraries. And I'm actually going to go assign libraries to you right now that I'm going to add. Oh. And I also have some master branch I'm going to add. Okay, so now we can go back to the main page, and now you can see the libraries appear. So now I'm just going to hit begin analysis on the bottom. And we could hit OK here. So now what we see, this is the main system overview page, and we see all the same headings that we saw before, only now they're the Genius will put them in order of priority of where the Genius sees the most energetic disturbance. So for you, the Genius is telling us that most of your energetic disturbance is in your biofield, and then in your mind, and then in the libraries, and then in the body.
Yep.
I'm just going to try to put my volume up. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah, that's
okay. Yeah, just give me a shout out if that happens again. Sorry, it's a Zoom thing. So we have all the different categories in here. Now what you'll see on the right hand side, you'll see all these different numbers. So the Genius uses a value, a numerical system, and it ranges from 0 to 777. So at the bottom of that range from 0 to 100, that is represented by the color blue, like we can see down here for glands.
Okay.
And what that is telling us, it's the Genius is saying it's a chronic energetic disturbance. So you've had a chronic energetic disturbance there.
Yep.
For, you know, a longer period of time.
Exactly.
It's also said in like Chinese medicine to be like stagnant energy.
Okay.
And another, it could also be considered like under energy. If you're looking at the meridians, sometimes blue, it could be like under energy, where those meridians are not getting enough energy. We then go from the next range is 101 to 450, and that's represented by the color green. And then we'll go from to 451 to 688 roughly, and that's represented by the color yellow. And then we move into the red color, which is the range is 689 to 777. And the red is observed to be more acute energetic disturbances, so happening like more now currently in the present. And in Chinese medicine, they might refer to that as heat or inflammation. You'll also see on the left-hand side these arrows. That's just telling us that there's information. We can go a little bit deeper. So whenever there is an arrow there, if you click on the line, you'll get more information. So in this case with meridians, now you see all the different meridians. And I believe this is the only library, at least in the system library. But you can then go deeper again because you see that arrow. And so then it would show you all the different points of that meridian system. We'll look at that in just a little bit. Let's see. The next thing I would like to do is get your aura picture. So the way we go about doing that is we, in biofield, you can find aura. And if you click on that line for aura, it brings you to this analysis page. So if we just hit begin analysis down on the bottom, we get a pretty color.
Kind of gray. Oh, okay.
So that's actually a pretty good aura picture, I have to say. What I tend to look for in pictures are bright, vibrant colors.
Mm-hmm.
When we see it, like you could see down here in the bottom, it's like a little dirty or murky
Yeah.
looking, pale. That's a sign of more stagnant energy, or it's not moving. The coloring in here could get brighter, so, but you know, again, the stagnant energy is more in this area, but I would say overall, this is, you know, a nice looking aura. So good job.
Okay.
The next thing I would like to work on is there's a couple of things that I always do, kind of like a pre-session sort of to prepare your body for receiving the frequencies. The first thing I'm going to work on is your spiritual protection.
Okay.
So I'm going to go into there first, and I'm just going to add all the frequencies in the spiritual protection. And I'm just going to go down, and you can drag each of these down individually, but it's much quicker if you use this plus button down here on the bottom. There is also one up top for the quick step tray, but if you're going to be adding things to the main hold tray, you can use this button. So now if you see all the way on the right-hand side on the same like white line banner, it's like a play button. I'm going to hit that, and that brings us into progressive insights. And I'm going to hit begin analysis. And I'm going to move the timer down to 1 minute. And I'm going to select all. You only have one high here and one low. That's interesting. I've never actually seen it show up like that, I don't think.
Okay.
So 60% rectification, that's really great. So that's a probability. So of the, I believe it's 11 items that were here, it's a probability that 60% rectified. So that's really, really good. Now I'm going to go back out to the main system page. And the next thing I like to do before I go anywhere else is I will add minerals, and I'm going to add them even though I have the spiritual protection still in there. And I'm just going to add all the minerals. And we can just grab, I'm just going to grab one or two sacred geometries in here. And I like to add 528 hertz from Savagio Tones, just because that works with miracles and DNA repair.
Okay.
And I'm going to add brain EEG. I'm just going to add the theta waves because hopefully that will help your body receive them better. So I have all those in the main hold tray. And now I'm just going to run an analysis on these really quickly, hopefully for 1 minute. And you will, I'm going to run all of them now for 1 minute. So 42%. So again, that's an excellent, I like to see over 40%. For demos, I may not always work until it gets above 40%, just because of
Okay.
time, but it still is 42%. So that's wonderful. So now I'm going to go back out to, whoops, to the front again. And the other thing that I like to work on before I get to start focusing on like the different hypertension libraries is I like to go to, if you click on system overview, it brings you to general overview. So what the general overview is, it's everything that's in the main start page, not in libraries though, in the biofield, body and mind. And it's like, if you were to open everything up, the expanded version of it, it then orders everything from all the panels in your numerical order. So we're just going to run begin analysis, and this will tell you like what your high highs are and your low lows. So there we go. So this is just telling us what are like the top issues that are more acute happening right now. So we could see your large intestine 4, your small intestine 6, serene amino acids, then beech flower essence. And we can just look at that really quickly, because a lot of times the flower essences are just such a good indicator of what's going on. So beech, the meaning of that essence is developing more tolerance of self and others. I'm not sure if that resonates at all with you, but that is the meaning of that flower essence. And then you could see there's more meridian points here that are off. Now, if we click general overview again, it's going to show us the bottom. So all your blues. So we can look at that. So now we see the items that have been out of balance for a longer period of time is the herb cinnamon, vitamin B5, marigam essential oil, saw palmetto herbs, and then we're seeing some meridians again. Now there are tons of blues and reds, and that's for everyone because there are just so many items here. So don't like get worried that it means that there's something like really wrong with you. But so what I like to do here is first I'm moving the timer, and I'm just going to put this on 1 minute as well. And I'm going to run a quick balance. And what the quick balance is, it's a really nice quick way of running all the reds and blues. So we don't have to drag and drop anything. We just hit the red banner, and it will run all the reds and blues. Also, if anybody has joined us late, please check out the chat box. In the beginning of the chats, I put some information there. We are discounting Connie Minnis's Heart Alchemy library, which is normally a $444 value. And it's with the coupon code that we offer, it's $333. So savings of like $111. So it's really amazing. And you'll get to see it in action today. I'm going to be working with it. 14% rectification. That is a little lower, but we're still going to be working with other things. So I'm not going to run that again. Normally I would, to try to get that up a little bit higher, but let's just look at some of the other things. And I'm just trying to see some of these chats. The coupon code is in there. It's heart 333. So when you go to checkout and it asks for a coupon code, you put heart 333 in. Okay. So So now the other thing I wanted to mention that I didn't mention before when I was going over the value system was, so we like to work with all the reds and the blues,
Mhm.
but when we start focusing and narrowing in on certain areas, I will add values 600 and above and 200 and below. And the
Okay.
reason for that is that when we're in the main whole tray and we go into the progressive insights, often we'll find those items that are like right on the border of the red and on the border of the blue,
Okay.
they will show up as high. So we just want to make sure that we're getting everything. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood that. So now I just want to add in, since I want to pay a little bit of attention in the biofield for you, since that's what the genius is telling us needs some work. So I'm going to drag in the meridians and also go a little deeper and look at it. Let's bring in that heart meridian, kidney meridian, and gallbladder. I also always add the conception vessel and the
Okay.
governing meridian,
Okay.
and we'll add in the triple heater as well in here. And we can go, sorry, the trackpad sometimes gets a little. So here we can look at the sacred geometry. I added most of these already earlier, so I'm just maybe going to add the flower of life and add the circle. We can look at your Savagio tones. Savagio tones, these are hertz frequencies that deal with different areas in like your spiritual realm, basically. So we can add the red items by just clicking red items, and you don't have any blue. And I've already added 528 earlier.
Mhm.
The chakras will add. You can add your brow chakra, your throat, heart, and the solar chakra. Yeah. And let's see, the Nogiers. I always add Nogier G and A regardless of what's showing, but I'm also going to add the blue ones. And I can just give you a little peek at the meaning of those Nogiers. So Nogier C, that has to do with musculoskeletal, tendons, ligaments, and adrenals. And it also opens the energy of cartilage, muscle, bone, heart, blood, lymph, ovaries, testes, and spleen.
Mhm.
So, and aura, we can just add the aura as well. So we can look at add emotional. I always add emotional and Bach flower essences as well. Sometimes I'll put those in the quick zap, but I'm going to put them all in the bottom tray today. I will add the reds and the blues. And I'm going to add these ones that are. And oh, there's a lot getting in here now. I've got to commit to my 200 and below now once I started.
Yeah.
Okay. And the and I'm gonna add the reds and the blues. Okay. And then let's see, then we have the body. So we can, I always like to look at today's stress. It's just going to give us a little idea of what's going on with you.
Yep.
So we see virus showing up in red on top. Now, again, we come into contact with different viruses and different bacteria all the time.
Yeah.
So, that's not, I wouldn't it doesn't mean that it's necessarily you're sick. It just means that there's some
Okay.
virus that it's picking up and it's out of balance. If
Mhm,
you're feeling fine, I may or may not run that, or
mhm.
depending on what else shows up, if infection energy was showing up or pathogens, maybe I would put that in. I just don't feel
Okay.
led to leave that in, but look what is showing up on the bottom is cardiovascular. So
Yeah.
that's, we can add acid in there as well.
Okay.
And I'm gonna add inflammation. And is there anything else I wanted to add in here? Okay. Let's see, we've already added our minerals. I want to look at digestion,
Okay.
and I'm just going to add these that are below 200. And I'm going to look at, sorry, this thing is spinal energy. Now, when we first look at it, the Genius displays from your cervical 1 all the way down. If we
Okay.
click on or touch high to low, it's going to put them in like numerical order for you so that
Okay.
you can see what are
Okay.
your highs and what are your lows. So again, here, I'm just going to add the reds and the blues.
Okay.
And on this particular library, I always do the 600 and above. And the 200 and below.
Okay.
Because you want to make sure all the messages from your brainstem are getting out through all the nerves and getting all the signals and messages it needs to from the brainstem, and that goes through your spinal column. So
Yeah.
it's always really important to work with that. And we can just look at your glands quickly. I'm going to put adrenal in there. And I'll put pineal and your thyroid in. Okay, we already have 124 items in there, so I'm going to go into libraries now.
Mhm.
And I'm just going to run analysis here. Julie, I'm not sure. You're asking why am I adding those green items? Oh, thanks, Claire. It's because they were below 200. And sometimes when I'm focusing in on an area, I'll add 600 and above, which includes some yellow, and 200 and below, which includes some green, because we've observed that when we analyze them in the progressive insights, which is from the main whole tray, sometimes those yellows and greens will show up as highs. So now I'm going to go straight to the Heart Alchemy library. There we go. So there's so this is all of it. It's a really extensive library. It's all these from the top all the way down here. So that's what's included in that, in the special that we're running. So you should definitely take advantage of it. So we can look, I'm just going to start. Let's do cell and blood function. And I'm going to add all the reds and all the blues. Let's just see what some of those are. So chemical tissue, communication, diaphragm, heavy metals, chromosomes, mitochondria. So there's a lot of good information in here. ATP units. I'm going to put oxygen delivery in there. Again, oxygen intake. I'm going to, even though, I know, Julie, you just asked why sometimes if my gut tells me to put it in, I might put something in, even if it doesn't fall into that 600 and above or 200 and below.
Okay.
Let's see, Keith, does running someone else's scan affect other people's health who may be watching this? Yes, if you have the volume on and your body needs these frequencies, you're gonna be taking in these frequencies. So that's a yes. And now we can look at circulatory and heart rate. So again, let's put these in. Now, it's also important, here's some hypertension exactly in here showing up.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that the Genius is not diagnostic in the allopathic sense. So anything that we show up as reds or blues is not, you can't go to your medical doctor and say you have X, Y, and Z showing on a biofeedback, and why didn't you tell me this is off? Because we're looking at the energetics. So we're not always comparing apples to apples. You can possibly have had, let's say, for example, a physical virus that you cleared, but if you didn't clear the energy of that virus, it
Okay.
might still show up as a red or a blue. So
Okay.
I just want to make sure everybody understands that. I can't remember if I added these reds. And I'm going to add some of these 600 and aboves, just trying to be a little cautious because there are a lot of libraries in here we want to look at today. So I'm not going to go for all of the 600 and aboves and 200 belows because we won't really get to look at some of the other. Okay. So now we can look at the circulatory. And again, here are some great oxygen-rich bloods, external iliac artery. So again, I'm going to add in all the reds and we can look at what the blues are down here. So this is like a huge, huge library. There's so much information in it. Here's a lot of your different arteries in here. I believe we've added the blues, but. And for anybody that gets a little nervous that they don't know what all this stuff means, or if they're thinking, I'm not a doctor, I don't know what to add. If you just follow the reds and blues, even if you don't go by the 600 and above and 200 and below, adding the blues and the greens, you don't have to know what it means. Just add it to the tray and let the Genius do all the work for you. We can look at communication here. This is red. I'm just going to add that as a line item, as well as click on it. And I'm just going to add it. There's only one item in this particular panel. We can look at coronary heart disease here and add the reds and the blues. And the functions of the heart. If you had this library at home, you may want to break it down a little bit and maybe not run as many. I am working with a lot of these panels right now because it is a demonstration and I just want to show you these. So here we have heart, blood vessels, the energetics. I'm not going to look at the heart chakras right now. Let's look at the blood. look at the structure of your heart. So I am going to run these right now because we're already at close to 300 items. And I'm going to hit begin analysis. Christina, so Christina is asking what amount of frequencies is an optimum amount to run and how much is too much? I usually like to stay around 200. On occasion, I can add more. Sometimes I've had as much as 400. If I add that many, I usually am running it for a longer period of time, or I'm only running the highs. So then it's maybe like 25% or a little bit more than that, the way it usually works out. So it wouldn't be 400 if I'm just running the highs. But for this, now that we did this, I'm going to run all of the items for 1 minute twice. And then I'll run all the highs for just 3 minutes. Does it sound okay? So 25% rectification, that's not bad. I'm going to rescan all of these now because what I like to see is the ones that maybe have been balanced and were high will either go down to medium and low, and maybe some move up to high. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to run all of them again for 1 minute. Yes, Julie, I usually keep the frequency shape form the same all the time. Unless I have really some specific reason why, I don't usually. If you feel guided to, then maybe your intuition is telling you that you should, then, you know, you definitely can. I don't always change it though. No, there's no limit. You're just, so Ruth is asking, is there a limit to how many functional zones you can run? Do you mean the items on the left-hand side, how many you check off? I personally, when I use the progressive, the functional zone, I usually only check off one on the left-hand side and then see what it comes up with, add them to the main whole tray. I think you're just getting more, you're being more specific on what functional zone you're looking for. Hold on, Ruth, I'll get to your question in a minute. So you had 34% rectification here. That's great. I'm going to rescan it again, and then we'll just run the highs. And we can run just the highs, and I'm going to move the timer up top to 3 minutes. You can see the 3 minutes right here where my cursor is, and I'm just going to hit play. So Ruth, in order to use the functional zone, you first have to check off an item from the items in the progressive hold tray that are on the left and select which one you want to look at the functional zones for. So, and then you could go into the functional zones, and then you could look at add as many as you want from there. But I would recommend only selecting one, like from the side in here. How are you feeling? Feeling okay? So 60% rectification, that's wonderful. So now let's just back out for a minute and look at what your aura looks like. And we ran a lot of frequencies, so there is the possibility that it may look worse right now because it's just processing and working through a lot of different. So, I mean, it doesn't look, it should come back. It doesn't look horrible, but it was a little bit more. There you go. I'm just going to go to libraries and run some for anybody that knows me, you know that I love working with these Alaskan gemstones. So I'm just going to run a quick balance with these gem elixir stones here. They're just like working with the frequencies of crystals. Melissa, yeah, I would say that the green on the aura is like representative of healing, or also your heart chakra. You want it to, you know, you always want to see a bright, vibrant color is to show, you know, is optimal. If it's cloudy or pale, there's like some stagnation in there. Oh, thank you, Julie. Yeah, always, you should always use your intuitive component because anything can cause anything. So it may not make sense. I I've had some animal panels show up on top for someone once, and I was just curious and I went in and it was just like a supplement. So for whatever reason, maybe, that you just need that supplement for whatever reason. So sometimes it may not always make sense, but you can't make a mistake because the body's not going to take in that frequency if it doesn't need it. So,
Okay.
you should feel really confident about that when you're using the Genius, is that you can't harm somebody. You can't give them like a wrong frequency.
Mhm.
So you had a 31% rectification on that. That's great.
Okay.
Maybe let's see what your aura looks like now. Yes, Ruth, you can, that's what I did for the gemstones. I just did a quick balance on those. You could always put it in the quick zap too, if you wanted to work with all of them. I just didn't choose to do that this time. So we have some blue, we have some other things moving in. We have some more, the blue is brighter down here and some other stuff showing. It's just a lot of frequencies that are coming in right now. Let me see. We have 4 minutes. Does anybody have any questions? Ruth, I know you have a question about the functional zone. We don't really have time to get into it today. I can spend more time on it next week. And hopefully that would help everybody. I also worked with it, I believe, last week. So you can check out the replay for last week. And I talked about functional zones. Oh, thank you. Claire's already adding that. Thanks, Claire. You're the best.
I have a question. How would you check the hypertension now? Can you check it?
Well, you gauge your hypertension really by what? Your blood pressure?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like diagnostic in that sense. So like
how
you would
would
have
I
to go back. I mean, like you could go back out and then come back in, but no, it's not going to really
show it? Okay.
Yeah, show that.
So I only show if you want the
I mean, I have
rate of the rate which is down, for example, when you say it was 41% or something like that, I just show that this is now 31%.
Well, that's just that the 31% is showing, it's saying that of the items that I ran, 31% have the probability of harmonizing or balancing, but it's not telling me which one it is.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Okay. How do you feel overall? I mean, we didn't really get a, I don't know if were you feeling anything in your head before? How does it feel now? Do you feel any of that pressure?
I don't hear it because my computer is running and it's making a noise, so I don't know really. Normally I hear it only when it's complete silence.
Okay.
Then I hear it in my ears. So I will see tonight.
Okay. Well, send an email if you feel that, if you
Yes,
find that
course.
it's improved at
Course.
all. I would definitely love to hear that. Do you you don't check your blood pressure, like you don't need to check it every day or anything like that?
I don't check it every day, but maybe every 2-3 days, yes.
Okay, so again, if you check it and you find it's lowered, that's always just great information.
Yeah, exactly.
We love hearing that. So
Denise, it's Dr. Deb here with a quick question. Does the Progressive Insights, if you did a deep dive on vessels or heart, does that give you a more minor library, but using this imported library has obviously hundreds more items?
I'm not sure I'm following the question.
On your functional, if you dove down on the functional areas, you would get some more extras. But I can see that this menu that you have has hundreds of cardiovascular related items in it, right?
Yeah, it does. It's an amazing library. You can certainly do it. I mean, like, let's say I don't, I'm not sure.
Like if somebody didn't have that library, could they go into the anatomy of the heart and look in functional
Oh,
zones of the heart?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's whatever showing up on the side here. So, I mean, you could go into arterial wall and you could hit functional zone. Let me just get out my little, find my picture quickly. It gives all the, so immune zone we can look at. So let me just see quickly. Sorry, guys, I'm just looking at this chart.
But clearly your library has hundreds of items, which are basically a deep rabbit hole dive deeper than the functional zones, right?
Yes and no. I mean, they're really looking at different things. So like the immune zone, I don't even know why I just pushed that, but because it's high on here. I mean, that's the thing, right? Anything can cause anything. So I checked off arterial walls and immune zone is showing up as that functional zone is out of balance in relationship to arterial walls. So now immune zone has to do with food allergy stress, non-autoimmune allergy stress, autoimmune stress, immune stress, vaccine stress, organ change stress. So, and here you're getting a 98% hit on non-autoimmune allergy stress. I mean, we can add those, and vaccine stress, we can add that. I mean, who knows? I mean, vaccine stress and causing stuff with the heart. I mean, it's possible.
Right.
We can look at, you
We
know,
did see high spike protein and prions on that last screen before.
wait, I'm sorry, 1 second, Debbie. So here, look, virus stress and Lyme stress evaluation. So the Genius is saying those two, it has a 99% probability that it has something to do with your arterial walls. So, I mean, yeah, I would definitely add that in. I couldn't tell you, I don't have the background to tell you how that may affect it, but I mean, you don't really have to understand it. You just have to, you know, add them in. Again, we can look at psychogenic zone. And this is a little lower shock stress. I mean, really when I'm doing this, I tend to put things that are only like the high percentages. When you're working with it, you can certainly add in all of them if you choose. But you know, you could add this one in, and then you go into, you know, you go back to you could either hit the back arrow or the play button down here. It still brings you to the same place. And then you need to do begin analysis again, and you've added those line items in. So we could just see quickly where they may be popping up now on here. Like we could have picked hypertension. I just didn't scroll down because we're really out of time here, but here it is. So the non-autoimmune allergy stress evaluation showed up as a high item. And here's virus stress evaluation is showing up as a high item. So, you know, I couldn't tell you how specifically that relates to it, but yeah, you could definitely run all those. So anyway, who asked me the
Thank you.
question? Ruth, I hope that helps answer your question. So again, everybody, I just want to, before we leave here, check out in the chat. We have a link to to the Heart Alchemy library that we used today. If you're interested in it, there is the code HEART333 and the link for the library. And it's a great savings. So it's $111 off the regular price for $333, and there were hundreds and hundreds of items. So it's really a great deal. So that is all for today. I hope everybody has a great week. I hope you learned something. And if you have any questions, email me at Denise at Inside Health Apps, and I will be happy to help answer any questions you may have. And
Okay. I thank you very, very much.
okay, well, wait, you stay
Very
on because, but everybody else, I just am, have a question for Andrea, but everybody else, thank you and have a great week, and we'll see you next Thursday. So,
Thank
bye,
you.
everybody. I'm just gonna stop the recording.